now, brown cow.
Well, good morning, Iron Age. It is me, the ultimate Kahuna, and here is my co-host, Evele Music. So there we go.
Woo!
Now let's get started. This is serious today. We're going to have comics, breaking glasses, and serious talk, y'all. And today, we will be discussing Hojo's The Mythicals. Anyway, so yeah, Evelyn and I have talked about doing this kind of show for a while, and that is we decided that there wasn't enough coverage of specific Iron Age comics. Like, people cover it, but then they don't really review it. They don't talk about it. It doesn't go much deeper than just like, oh, hey, maybe on a show like Royce's or a launch on Bancroft's channel, there isn't enough discussion about what people actually think about some of these comics. And I think both for critical purposes and for just edifying purposes, we thought this show would be a good way to express that. And so that's something that we've talked about doing for a while. And last minute this morning decided, F it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, and that's the thing too about this is that we're just fans of this content. We buy it, we read it, we enjoy it, we talk about it anyways, whether it be in the Gilded or on Twitter, all of that. So why not bring it to this forum? We always talk about in these circles, we need more fan channels and more people talking about the content to help promote it. And the importance of the fandom in this whole movement that we're a part of, if you want to call it that. So we're not unique. We're just two guys that have incredible personalities,
incredibly good-looking men.
We're just two dudes that have cameras and opinions on things. So you could also start a channel and do the same thing, and it's fun. It's fun to hang out and talk with your friends. We're friends, right, Kahuna?
Sure, underling. Tap side.
Yeah, with your internet fake buddy guys that and girls, so that you can talk about this stuff.
And that's the thing too. Like everybody in this kind of movement in our sphere specifically has been so welcoming, and so we've a lot of us have done so much to help each other. I'd consider a lot of you guys my friends, and Evele especially. He did the main song for my channel, the Ultimate Kahuna song, and he learned a new type of freaking singing to be able to do it, and yeah. I salute that, man. That was a tremendous effort you put on that, and I as soon as I heard him, like, bro, I don't deserve this.
For the opportunity, man. It's been a pleasure. I got to re-record it too. I have new tone, so your song is on the list of which spicy. You can hear on the upcoming track, or actually you can listen to Power right now, but coming up on the upcoming release, First Strike by Tempered Records.
First Strike,
Iron Age
Tempered Records.
So, yeah, that's my new tone. I'm actually going to go back and re-record my last album with that tone too, because it sounds.
So is that gonna be Crush or Phantoms? Which one was that?
Yeah, Crush. Phantoms going back to that is gonna be tricky, and I think the tone works out well on that album because it's got more of a rock vibe and the
it's definitely it's like if you combined like fun early 2000s rock with a little bit of old video gamey sound because of the chip tuning, and I think that album works out just fine in the way that it is.
I agree.
It makes it sound like I don't like it now. I guess it works, man. Sure.
But yeah, the bottom line there is you could start a channel like this. I enjoy watching this sort of content and the deeper dives into there's some projects out there where I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that looks interesting. Do I want to bite? And if you're creating content like this where people can jump in and watch and learn more about a project, it gets you on board. And maybe we cover this and you watch it and you're like, oh, all right, I've seen that issue now. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to go back and buy it. Maybe you want to copy your own. But these campaigns are ongoing. A lot of these projects that are out here, they're on issue 1, maybe issue 2 or 3. So you can jump in a little bit late, so to speak, and still have content upcoming to be excited about and get on board with.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Get out there, make videos, support the stuff, do your thing.
And because a lot of these are being what was it, hosted by Fund My Comic. A
Mhm.
lot of these will be able to, at some point, will be buy on demand. In fact, I think the Mythicals may be one of those.
Yes,
And
I've seen
yeah,
a few storefronts opening up like that, which is really cool.
yeah, it makes it easier because like sometimes like there's a good and really cool looking indie comic. I'm sure you've seen this, and it's like, but you cannot find issue 1, 2, or 3, and it's now we're on 4, and you have to hop in and either buy it for overpriced on eBay, or just get like maybe a digital version somewhere. And it's like, that's not how you want to read comics, right? You want to read it in your hand.
Or you miss the campaign, and if it's a one-off and you can't get it again, that can get tough. That's actually I had some kind of credit card issue whenever this was going out, and I actually contacted Hojo, and he was cool enough to be like, "Hey, no worries, man. I got, extras, and I can hook you up on all that sort of stuff." And so
Oh yeah, for sure. He's a
nice
cool
deal.
hombre for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Awesome, dude. Awesome dude.
I had a credit card. Like I had my wallet stolen again, and then I had to like cancel all my stuff, and so I missed out on a Cider's comic, his superhero style comic, like where Asia. But anyway, that's a different comic for another day. So first impressions. First impressions. We both read the Mythicals comic a couple of times. Let's just go over first impressions. You first.
So I will, I haven't been a big comic reader since I was a teenager, and even then I wasn't real deep into it. I probably had a collection of maybe 3 dozen comics I was reading, 10 Ninja Turtles and a couple Iron Mans and things of that nature.
Oh,
Um,
that's more than some people. Yeah, no, that's
yeah,
respectable.
there was a little bit of it there. When I was in 5th grade, I wanted to be a cartoonist, and I enjoyed the art and all of that, but I fell away from it. I got into video games. I was like, "Oh, I'm done with books."
I don't
And
need to
so
read ever again.
I know. And now I'm getting back into all of this. And so my first impression when I read it, because I don't have that background on how to approach and read a comic and how to understand it. My first read through, I wasn't sure what to make of it. I had trouble, and I even talked to you about this in the Gilded. I wasn't sure about the tone. And about 3/4, 4/5 of the way through the book, the tone clicked into place. And it was that second reading where
Oh,
I was really able to enjoy it. And we were talking about that as well, where I think it's standard practice for certainly for comics because it's not a huge time sink, but even with some books to read it a second time because that first what you think something's going to be like based on the cover, based on the trailer, and what the actual experience is, they don't always line up. And to me, with this project, they do. I think if you enjoyed the trailer and
yeah,
you
yeah.
go into this book
Yeah.
with that mindset, you'll get it. For some reason, whenever I was reading it, I pushed the tone of the trailer out of mind, and that was probably a mistake on my part. So, anyways, after processing it, really chewing on it a little bit, I did enjoy it much more the second time. Once my brain was like, "Oh, the trailer was actually a perfect encapsulation of the tone of this book." So, yeah, my first impression, a little bit in depth there, I guess, but I did like it. All of that to say, I did enjoy it.
All that to loop around and say, I enjoyed my time.
Yeah,
No.
I'm a talker. Sorry.
Oh no, no, no. That's why we're here. You and I, we can talk for hours about freaking nothing. So
That's
we're gonna
true,
talk about
dude.
actually
Nothing.
something for once, right? So my
So, what's
first
your take?
impression.
Yeah.
My first impression, I saw the trailer just like you and everyone on a Drink with Crazy's channel on a comic shop Wednesday, and I thought, dude, that looks so freaking funny. But even then, I still wasn't quite sold. But then I talked to Hojo on Gilded a little bit and on Twitter, and he seemed like a cool guy. And honestly, because of how I am, that was the final like tipping point to get me. I'm like, all right, it looked interesting, but I wasn't sure. I talked to the guy; he seems like a cool guy. All right, that tips me over the edge. I'll go all in on it. And then I went further because he was having a night where they were promoting it maybe with Bancroft or someone else, and he's like, yeah, I'm really hoping I could reach this goal. And I'm like, I have a little bit of extra cash. I already backed it, but what if I buy some original art for it? And so I bought the original concept art sketch. It's like this tall by this wide
Oh,
of the
whoa, that's
of his
awesome.
vampire character, and I have
That's
it,
really
and
cool.
it's fantastic. And I'll maybe pull that out. I'll whip it out later in stream, depending
Oh
on.
my.
Mm,
The
just let me
picture,
whip this
right?
out. Yeah, yeah, that for
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Yeah. So it's
Both.
a bit it's a big one, yeah. And then reading through it the first time, I had a good impression of it. The art sometimes was it wasn't always what I expected, but I enjoyed it for the most part. And my first impression was that he was trying to do it all in like he was trying to cover all his bases in the first issue, and that's a big challenge. And I think on the whole, he pulled it off, which is
Hmm.
impressive to say the least, because there was a lot of elements, a lot of action, a lot of dialogue that was all introduced in a single issue. And a single issue is what, like 24, 36 pages, something like that.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
actually
fairly
count, but
short.
yeah, it's a very short amount of time to get that all across. But yeah, so that was my introduction to it. We both read through it a few times, and so figured we could just talk about different things that we enjoyed about it, maybe category by category. How did you feel about the art?
It was the kind of thing. I mean, we see a lot of incredible artists on,
Yeah,
Comic Shop Wednesday and just in these circles in general. And the art to me, it looks good. It doesn't look quite as good as some of the other projects I've seen out there. But the thing about that is, as I was reading it and the tone of it and the style, I actually
yes,
like that about it. To me, if it was super refined and hyper polished, and if every drawing was this amazing masterpiece that took thousands and thousands of hours top to bottom, I almost think something of the tone we talked about would be lost. And to me, the
yeah.
tone is so
Yeah,
important.
like some of some of the alternate art that people did in the back here
Oh
that
yeah,
he displays. Like if it had been done like say in this tone, like where it's super clean and not thick lines, or like this where it's like extreme the entire time and edgy.
right.
I don't think I think the more simplistic style kind of works for the tone that it was being established. I'm 100% with you on that one.
I agree, and I've always been a fan. Whether it be, I mean, I appreciate beautiful things for sure, and I'm not saying this isn't beautiful, but I also appreciate things that are a little bit rough at times and have that human quality. And actually, the more AI becomes commonplace, I even like that hand drawn quality more and more. Or sometimes
Yeah,
whenever I see
yeah.
artwork that is overly polished, I always have that in the back of my mind, like, did they?
Is
Didn't
it
they? I don't
AI?
know. Right.
Yeah.
So to me, whenever I'm looking at it and there is a rough edge or maybe proportions, alter slightly here and there, I don't know. I dig it. I like that.
Yeah,
And I
no,
think it
I'm down
probably
for that
was a
too. Yeah.
stylistic choice. I mean, if you're this good at drawing, I think at that point it is a stylistic choice. Like I could go back and change and alter and fix everything. The artist is incredibly talented. I think it's a
Yeah,
choice
for
made
sure.
to match the tone and all that. I don't think it's just,
Yeah,
yeah.
and plus there's time restraints. Like honestly, like you could get if you could some people can do every page as a work of art, like a real like genuine like blow your mind work of art. But you know
Mhm.
how long it takes to do that. Like watch Animated Moon or some of the other illustrators that we know like try to go through it. It's like it takes so long to do such a basic thing sometimes. And so if they did that for every single panel, it would be immense. But hey, let's pop in and say hi to the chat. We got Devil's Air, who has been here since the beginning. He's
Oh,
a
nice.
legendary memer of the Iron Age. And we got Mr. Brian McCoppin,
Hey.
who is trying to fund his own comic right now. I've read his book and I've listened to the audiobook. Both are excellent, and I deeply enjoy that story. And we
Yeah.
got Timo
Right there with you.
Burnham, or Timo, sorry. I'm not like Royce. I can actually say your name properly. Timo Burnham. I don't know how you burned your hand, but I hope it's okay.
He's
And
probably
then
never heard of that
Immortal
before.
Rising Comic. Speaking of which, got my copy right here, man. Look at those poppy little colors. I
Oh,
like
mine's
them. Oh yeah,
mine's
you have a
upstairs.
copy too. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe we'll be covering that one in the future. Man, who knows?
I didn't know we were live. I didn't know this was I would have been following the chat the whole time.
Oh, nice,
Alright, let
nice.
me get that out. Okay, here we go.
But yep, that's how that goes, man.
Deal.
And so I'll talk about some of my impressions on the art as well. I think some of it's a weird thing, like because you look at the cover, for example, and we can Nancy Moon right here, and
Mhm.
then and you're like, holy smoke, she's a smoke show. And then you start reading the comic, and I'm like, you know, with this art style, maybe she's not that attractive anymore. start going through, and then you get to the scene where she's more relaxed, not in the business suit, trying to do an interview, and she's like relaxed at a bar with a friend, and
Mhm.
suddenly you're like, actually, never mind. That works. Where did it go? That works certainly a lot better. That's a lot more pleasing to the eye, and that's where the art style kind of works. And then the magic and abilities, the bad guys, the gunplay, the action. I thought that was all really well done. Like the blur effects, the how fast Mr. Vampire is, and the blue flames. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, but the action is really really well done
Mm-hmm.
in the way that it's proportioned. Like your eyes follow the layout on the page very easily, and it's a wonderful thing. So
Yeah,
there's that.
it has good flow to it. I've read a handful of comics or um, manga. Is that what it's called? Manga?
Yeah, manga is when it's Japanese. You have to read it
Oh,
right to
geez, there's a
left
difference.
instead.
I've read books with words in them and bubbles, and sometimes I'm like, "Who's talking next?" Like, and you gotta like read it a couple times, be like, "This is the
Yeah.
order." With this one, everything flowed really well. The page layout was good. There's emphasis in certain panels to make it pop, and I didn't have any trouble with that. So yeah, it's pleasing to the eye. To your point, it's got good movement and good panel layout. Whenever there is action, you get some angles in there to get things moving, and it kind of plays off of gunfire and stuff of that nature. So I agree. I'm with
Yeah.
you on that one.
Yeah, nothing about the layout is like, wow, mind blowing, but it doesn't have to be. It just you want the layout to be something that your eyes are not drawn, like you won't pay attention to it. If you're not paying attention to it, that means that it's working. That means your eyes
Mhm.
are naturally flowing through the story and you're not going to
And
have a huge issue.
another thing is too talking about sort of the simple style in some of these scenes. Whenever that action kicks in, it's sort of like the build up in an EDM song, where it's like, okay, there's some
About
elements
like
in there.
right before the drop kind of thing.
Yes, but that drop comes in, and then whenever the art really hits, and you see, it on full display, it feels that much more weighty. Because yeah, it's
Yeah,
got
no,
some. I mean, it's pretty
100%.
eye popping. A handful of these scenes, especially at the end, and the colors, and yeah, it's got some more pop to it, some more weight, which is nice.
That's what cavalry means, Dano. Okay, so now let's go over basic impressions of the characters. So
Mhm.
Nancy Moon, MC. She is our kind of vehicle to travel throughout the story with. She is our MC. She is our leading lady with the tremendous gravity defying eyes. And that's our leading lady. So what's your impression of Nancy Moon as a character so far?
I like her. She is. That's it. Your turn.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. She's good. No, I do like her. Even early on, they established that she's
Yes,
confident.
Timo,
She's
she has
trying to be.
great assets. That's what she has. Great assets. Yeah.
And she does have, yes, this is true. She is established, I think, pretty early on as a confident character, but she's not perfect. You see her human side coming through in a couple of panels in certain little fumbles and self admissions. And I like that early on. It's not I'm awesome and I'm amazing right off the bat and everything's
It's like
great and I'm perfect.
I'm a bad
Yeah,
bitch and
it's not
I'm
that.
hot and I killed and yeah. It's not
Right.
like that yet.
It's not
Like
that
at some
vibe
point
at
she
all.
can
Yeah.
get there, but it's not right away. There she has a past. She's
Mhm.
obviously haunted from the very beginning, not just in her head, but like actually haunted by demonic forces, and I'm curious to see how that's going to go. But yeah, no,
Mhm.
my first impression is she feels like a very human but still badass and hot and attractive and cool character. She's someone I could definitely follow for this story. I feel
Yes.
like if we were following the perspective of some of our other characters in this story, it would be too ridiculous to like you need an everyman to kind of follow in this kind of story, and I think she serves that purpose pretty well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say too, I mean, whenever I am reading a book or watching a story, if I can't get behind the lead, I don't like the show. And there's plenty of shows where like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no, the lead's great because he's such a bad guy." I'm out. I don't like that kind of entertainment. I want a good guy I can root for, somebody that's likable, and I think from
So
very
like
early
House
on.
House is not your kind of style.
Wait, House, the TV show? He helps people,
He does, but he's also an a-hole.
but he's helping. He's not like just a bad guy. Like some people are like, "Oh,
that
this dude's so good at
that's
being
true. That's
evil," and it's
true.
like
That's
that
true.
is I don't know what the term is.
It's
So
like it's a
she
Dexter style show kind of thing.
Yeah, I couldn't watch that one. People told me what it was about. I'm like, this ain't for me. So I like that she is established as somebody that's very easy if you come from it with my perspective. I feel like I have a fairly high bar with I need a character to be likable and be a decent human,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that is definitely her, and they set that up well. So, I thought that
Well,
was neat.
that's because you're a nice person, Evelyn. Not everybody's in that. No, I'm kidding.
I
But yeah,
try,
no,
I try, you know.
yeah, no. I think her character. I think she's the perfect character in this cast to be going through this story with. I
Mhm.
think she's really good for that in that aspect. Now we'll talk about the baddies, the bad boys, the bad guys, and the singular bad girl in this story so far. What are
That
your
we know
impressions?
of. You don't know about there's a certain character in it revealed later on. We're not sure. You don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's no
Yeah,
hand check.
but there are a couple obvious bad guys we can definitely talk about without any spoilers whatsoever,
Yeah, for sure. I
including
think
the one he has a name and it's a cool name, but I refer to him as the sunburned priest. And
Father SPF 0.
yeah, Father SBS 0. So what's your impression of him, and then of the conflict character at the end, like the one that is in direct conflict anyway?
So what is this character's name actually? I know I should know it, but I can't remember if it was actually verbalized in the book or if it was just spoken about.
I can't remember.
It wasn't the bishop, was it? Is that
I
what the
think
cover was
I think
called?
they might say it here. Let's see. Read through it real quick.
That aside, they do or Pojo does a really good job setting up that character as a bad dude. He's not a nice guy. He's the opposite of Nancy Moon. Very bad, very nasty, does some very bad things. Frankly,
Disgusting.
okay, disgusting.
Tremendously bad.
Turn my stomach. And if I'm saying that, no. Yeah, they do a good job with some of the scenes setting up that this dude is a vile demon monster, whatever he is. I don't think he's human. Maybe at some
No.
point he was.
I think he's a dark priest. I think he's a demonic priest. I think he's a priest of a cult or something that perhaps worships demons. And I don't entirely think he's human either. He could be, but he nothing about him looks human. Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, he's not here to cut your steak for you. It's not what he's here for.
Yeah. And also he's in, like, it's not a spoiler because it's so early in the book, but he's introduced torturing a priest.
Mm,
Not for information, but just for the pleasure of doing it
yeah.
and for enjoyment. That's one bad hombre.
He
And
likes
so
hearing men
yeah.
scream.
Yeah, he enjoys that. And so the threat, the underlying threat, who isn't directly addressed in this book, is very real and very, very present. And that is one thing too. There's a character at the end, without spoilers. I don't think he's veiled in shadow, but I don't think it's the same character. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like on the very last panel there.
Yeah, I think I can say pretty confidently that is not the same character.
I really sincerely
Once
like
we
in
get
the
into once we
yeah.
get into more specific spoilers, I can say why I think that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Once we get into that, and so
Yeah.
that's our impression of the bad guy. And then there's a little bad guy that they fight at the end. He's disposable, but even though he's still a challenge, and
Mhm.
so I don't mind saying I thought he was a good intro villain. Like he
Oh, for
was
sure.
enough to offer a challenge, but not enough to overwhelm or seem like you need to have an escalation of fight of a power and ability and threat. And so he's a good intro villain.
Yeah,
I think he was sufficient for that.
and he serves a important narrative role too. He's not just there for like a cool action scene. There's context that's created through his presence.
Yes, yes, and he does one thing very quickly to establish he is indeed not just an empty threat. He's not just a bark. He is a bite as well.
Mhm.
And so that's a non-spoilery version of our impressions of the main characters, or not the main characters, but the bad guys. Now, what do we think about the crew? I don't mind
Oh,
talking about them because they're all on the cover. So
this is true. And yeah, Lucas, I think it's Lucas Beckett, the fellow with the two guns. Yeah, he's my favorite hands down. The other guys are interesting, and they seem fine enough. There's still a lot of mystery surrounding those two. I think Lucas gets the most screen time. He's introduced pretty early on, and pops up again later. But he's my favorite because I mean I'm sure you guys know from my personality. I'm here for a laugh, and Lucas definitely brings a lot of that kind of comic relief, a little bit of that tongue-in-cheek sort of Army of Darkness, Ash sort of energy to situations.
And I like that his Aztec buddy here with the magic. I like how he kind of treats him like a big brother almost or something like that when they're in the middle of a fight. He's like, "Hey man, I don't know if this is working."
Yeah. Is that Dano?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Daniel,
Dano.
and he calls, yeah, Lucas calls him Dano. So little things like that I
And
appreciate.
look at Lucas. He looks like the kind of guy who would give someone a nickname without permission, without any reason. Just like,
That's not
can't I don't ain't nobody got time for that. I can't say your full name. So Dano, I'll call you Dano. Yeah. I don't want to. Shut up. I'm calling you Dano.
Yeah. To me, knowing Hojo too, that character to me was the closest to Hojo's personality that I've seen from his on-stream presences too. So that sort of,
Impacts it
that
as
comes
well.
through there, I
Yeah.
think.
Now I really like his character. I would be very sad if that character is not in it. But I like the vampire character. He's very mysterious. He like out of all the characters on the team, he's the only one where I'm like, I'm not actually sure he's a good guy. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
layers to him, and he seems like maybe the most powerful, but also the most morally questionable as
Yeah, he's
well.
probably not Team Edward.
Yeah, I'm guessing not. I'm guessing not. He looks more like someone Blade would dispatch, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's another excellent. Yeah, that's good. I agree. Let's see. I'm trying to find his facial expressions. A couple of these because he jumps in there. There's the shot of him that was from the campaign. That's I think, one of the cooler panels in the book. He gets in the
Which one, the
action there.
vampire?
Yeah,
There's one where his claws are forward and he looks very monstrous there.
that's the
And
one.
then,
That's the one.
yeah, I found it right here. So it's like
Yeah,
this guy right there. Yeah, that's a good
he's
one. And
interesting. It's always anytime you have a
yeah.
vampire on the team and introduce vampires as a part of the world, that's always going to add interest because there's different, vampires. They have the basic staples that make a vampire, but you don't know exactly how it's going to play out in this world. But anytime vampires are around, I'm like, okay, that adds a layer of interest that wouldn't be there otherwise.
And that's the thing too. I talked to Hojo too, and the little like it's not a spoiler. It's just like details about the vampire character. He isn't really a vampire because he can go in the sun. He is not. He does not have that weakness. So there's something else going on there. Like maybe
Mm.
he's cursed and he's not a true vampire, but or something of that nature. But it's not. It's not really clear what his origin is. So he doesn't have that same limitation that you traditionally see with almost all vampires. And so yeah, that's our impressions of the main crew. I like the agents; they seem fun. Um, I like our little Aztec guy. He has maybe the most ridiculous outfit of all, but he seems like a funny. He seems like a chill he just seems like a cool dude. Nothing really to draw me in with him yet. He's just like, I'm a cool guy and I can do like magic portal stuff. Look at
So we're
this.
talking about this fella here. Oh wait, my hand's
Yeah.
backwards. That guy. He
He looks
looks like
so
a
fierce on
character
yeah.
from a Sega Genesis beat 'em up that is not Streets of Rage. It's called like Fighting Streets or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be like a character in that where it's like he's cool.
It's like it's not
Got that
Coca-Cola,
vibe of Joker.
it's Coca-Cola or something like that. Like, and it's so funny because he looks so fierce, like on this cover, but then you're reading it, and he's always kind of like just like, oh, like either smiling or worried looking, and kind of just passively hanging out and being cool.
Right.
I'm like, that is one thing because yeah, I do like that little misdirect with the cover here because I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he has some. I think that has a good rounded team here. We got Nancy Moon who has something like she has fire and the ability to control plants, like kind of like you mentioned, poison ivy a little bit. You have our buddy Lucas here. He's the BA guy with the guns who won't take no S from nobody, and is going. He's here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and he ran out of bubble gum years ago, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Got our non-vampire. You got the support team in the background, and you got our magic Aztec man here too.
Yes.
And yeah, no, so I like our main crew. I think there's a good balance of abilities and powers. I think there's enough mystery, because most of it, like, we got a couple throwaway lines, but and a display of their abilities, but we don't know much about these characters yet,
Right.
do we? Outside of that, like, we don't know their background, we don't know what their main motive, what their alternate motivations could be outside of their main one, which is protecting people from demonic forces. But yeah. So that those are our impressions of the main characters. Now, it's kind of hard because this part is where you start combine, like, it draws on aspects of everything that we've seen and read so far. What's your impression of the story? You can't, it's hard to separate story from characters in a story like this where it's visual and it's so short. But what's your impression of the story so far? Do you think he achieved what he wanted to achieve in this issue of this comic?
I think it's intriguing. I think it sets up a lot of pieces, and there are certainly a lot of questions and little crumbs scattered throughout, and literally some things that are dropped in one panel and that you don't see it again. But it wouldn't have been dropped there if it's not going to play a role in future stories. And it's something that, as a reader, you could see that and be like, "What? Well, that's all right," and you just keep going, and you might even forget about it. But once you go back, like that second read, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that." And just seeing the Mythicals 2 campaign, I know that this one scene in specific or one panel in specific is absolutely going to play a larger role moving forward. Um,
Yeah. It's hard to get into all the story stuff because it's so short without getting into spoilers, but
yeah, but I think there's enough there. And like you said, it's hard to separate characters and story, but the characters are interesting, and there's enough little crumbs and pieces of interest scattered to keep you going. I will say, in terms of environment in the story, which isn't the story directly, but to me, though, that's like the characters where they are
yeah,
does
yeah.
impact the story. It's it's DC
Having a fight in a
for a
safe
lot of it.
seeming park in the middle of the, like, in the evening, it's not where you expect something to go wrong, like in the modern day.
I don't
Uh,
know if you're in the suburbs of DC. I don't know. I don't know.
oh, actually, I forgot. Yeah, they are in DC. Never mind.
Yes.
Never mind.
So actually, that's
Um,
just an everyday occurrence out there.
yeah.
So
Actually, you're
I
lucky. You're
tend to
lucky if you
be
make it to the park.
yeah, I tend to be drawn to open-ended or not open-ended. Like I like being outside. I like nature, whether it's
Check who we have in the chat here.
hey, what's up, man?
Hey,
Thanks for
Hojo,
dropping
don't worry,
in.
don't worry. We weren't talking about you.
The
Not
book
at
is the
all.
worst
Not
one
at
ever.
all.
No, so
It's
that's just a
terrible.
personal right, and obviously everything we're saying is just personal opinion. But I don't love cities and that sort of vibe. But if it was
Yeah.
taking place out in the middle of nowhere, the story wouldn't make sense. It had to be there. And there's even a joke about it early on where
Yeah, I noticed
yeah,
that too.
where she's heading and they're joking about like, could you find it? Could you find
Yeah,
where the place
yeah.
was? It's like, what?
And it's
Everything's
like,
the
and
same in the
plus, like,
city.
this is,
It's
it's
all
not,
just
I
gray
don't know if it's
concrete.
a government organization, perhaps. Like, it says it is, but that could be a lie also. But
Yeah,
it's like, it would make sense for this to be in DC. It would make sense for it to be in a city.
right.
And it's like, you need that kind of, that's that culture there, and that kind of all the aspects that come with being in a city, all the
Exactly. So
resources. That's the word I'm trying to use.
so what I'm getting at is even though I don't typically like stories set in cities, it makes perfect sense. And I was able to enjoy that because again, it all fits together in the puzzle that is the narrative being created here.
Yeah. And like I said, I think he pulled off what he was trying to do. I think he successfully introduced all elements of the story. If there is one, I hate saying this, but I do have to be honest with any criticism I have. And that is, I do think that the torture scene that introduces our big baddie here, the SBF Zero priest, I do think that I do wonder if that kind of broke up the narrative in a bad way. I feel like if there is a scene that disrupts the flow of the story, I do think that's it. I
Mm.
understand we want to introduce our characters, but it's just 2 pages. Maybe this is maybe something I would have possibly put at the back end of the book. What's your opinion on that?
It's like I was saying earlier, upon my first read through of it, I felt the same way. It was like, especially because I don't think this is a spoiler, it bounces between locations. And so whenever they're
Yeah, it
talking about
does.
that character, it's not at the exact same place, maybe not the same time as the other characters. And in that sense, we're just hitting the story with Nancy and what's going on with her. And
Yeah,
then we're bouncing over here for a panel, and then we come right back. And the first time I read it, I did find it a little jarring as well. But the second
Yeah,
time, it didn't. It felt totally natural because I knew it was there. And I think once you know it's there and you go into it, it's like okay. And then it just felt like it was a lot smoother the second go through.
I agree. And like I said, I'm not even that critical of it. But if there
Mhm.
was one thing story wise and like flow of narrative wise that could have been done differently, I may have put that at the end of the book. It's just 2 pages. It would have it would have shown you there is a bigger threat behind all this without being in the middle of the story. But like you said, it does flow together no better the second time you read it, and I agree with
Yeah,
that.
and I'm fine with where it's at. I think if it was at the end on a first read through, I would agree with you that it would feel more natural. But I think the second read through being smooth, it makes more sense to me on that reread being there. I think if it was at the end, it would be like, oh, this feels like a weird tag on. So I don't know. The important thing is you get to read it twice, and it's I think more enjoyable the second time. So it's like basically getting
I would
double
agree with
double the
that. Yeah.
content at least. You know?
I know, I know. And hey, Evelyn, we're supposed to agree on everything. Damn it,
Oh, I'm
we
sorry.
can't be disagreeing on stream.
I'm sorry, Kahuna. You're correct. It need to go at the end. Hojo, fix it. No, have a special.
Uh,
There needs to be a special Kahuna edition where it's at the end, and he just cuts up the page and glues it on there.
just gets out his knife and is like, all right, well, here's the Kahuna edition, and then
Yep.
a bunch of people want it, and then he has to do it
And the
over and over again, and
and the
he
video is
curses
just
my name for all time. He makes me the end villain of the story, and
yeah. He's like, I got it right here, and just throws it in the trash.
yeah, no, I love it,
So,
man. I love
I guess
it.
we talked about who we would recommend this for. So, in your mind, who would you say would be somebody that should pick this up?
It doesn't get too explicit with anything. So in that way, I would say I would give this to a young teenager, but some of the
Teenager,
subject
I think,
matter
was the keyword. Yeah.
they touch on, like it does imply some kind of darker subjects. And with that, I would probably recommend this to a teenager and up, like maybe 14 or 15-year-old and up.
Yeah.
I'd feel
It's
comfortable doing that.
yeah. I'd
There's
agree.
nothing
Maybe
explicit, it just implies darker stuff.
there's a couple scenes where it's not like grotesque. I mean, the one's kind of rough, but there are some elements in there that if you have, even a teenager, if they haven't seen a lot of violent movies, that would be maybe be careful of that. But yeah, nothing
Yeah.
too crazy, but it's there to help establish like, ooh, there are stakes, and this dude is a bad guy, and that sort of deal.
Yeah, and not knowing exactly where the story is going forward, I have guesses, but not knowing exactly where it's going forward in the future, I don't think that age recommendation or moniker would really change. I anticipate that being the same throughout the story. Like it'll get a little bit darker, a little more like we'll probably see some more blood, a lot more some more good old violence, but I don't think that's ever been a problem. Especially like it's not a problem. It's a like it's a comic. That's kind of the point. That's what
Hmm.
people want action. That's one of the main reasons they go to comics.
Hmm.
And I think this displays it really appropriately and well done.
And I would say, like fan wise, if you're not buying this for a young kid, if you're buying it for yourself, who would it appeal to in that sense? I'd say if you enjoy content like Army of Darkness that I mentioned earlier, maybe even like a Big Trouble in Little China or
Yeah. Uh,
Supernatural to a degree, that sort of thing.
I mentioned like yeah, or like some shows like Fringe or like Grimm if you ever saw that.
Yeah, a
It
couple.
appeals to that kind of crowd pretty heavily, I think. And it's
Mhm.
also still fun, so I'm down for all that.
Yeah, it's got serious moments, it's got stakes, it's got all of that. It has a couple parts that are pretty intense, but there is some humor in there too, and I think that's what I'm getting at. So if that's something that is up your alley or might be, go check it out for sure.
Yeah, nope. I can. There are some people I can wholeheartedly recommend this to, and in fact, I'll probably let them
Yep.
borrow the comic just because I don't have enough money to go around buying comics for everybody. But yeah, no, that's been our that's our episode one of our so far unnamed show. Oh wait, no, there's one more thing, Evelyn. For the Mythicals specifically, as a brand, as a comic, and a story. what do you hope to see in the future from this story?
Well, can we go ahead and get into spoilers if we want to this point? It's hard to talk about these things without being too spoilery. I know we
I know.
dabble, but it's like every time,
You've
like,
caught
ah, ooh,
you've caught me a couple times. I'm like, oh, you're right.
I hope I caught myself
Yeah.
too, because I do want people that are interested to go into it fresh. But we can get to spoilers now, I think, right? 40-minute
Yeah, yeah.
mark.
Hey, all right. Iron Age viewers viewing this for the first time live and on YouTube. It's time for spoilers. Anytime beyond this point, and not only will it be your fault, but I will drive to your house and tell you that it's your fault
Oh,
over
geez.
over and over again, very loudly. Anyway, getting into spoilers and hopes for what we want to see in the future of this comic. So, spoilers. Spoilers. The big one that we need to talk about is at the very end, because the bad guy that they fight at the very end.
Right there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Good catch, good catch. I was like, maybe he just looks different, but I think it's a different character entirely. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, her best friend at this point in Nancy Moon's life turns out not only is I don't think she's fully human, but she's also not really her friend for altruistic or good motivation kind of reason. She
Yeah.
was a planted there by the bad guys behind the evil men behind the curtain in this story. And so I knew there was something about her expression that really kind of clued me into it. It's not something I can articulate, but something about the way she would look at Nancy Moon when they were talking just made me think that there's something there's something being left unsaid here.
Right.
And
To
so
me,
I'm
it was
yeah.
where Nancy Moon wakes up and she's seeing creatures in the mirror that ghosts or demons or something nasty is like in her world and after her for some reason. So her
Mhm.
reflection is like got black eyes and she has a nightmare that she wakes up from about these. It looks like witches maybe being tied up to something, kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
actually, in the mirror, you can see the character that's there at the end that her best friend is talking to.
is it
Like if you
really?
look in the very first page, look down, second panel down on the first page. You can see it in
Oh,
the mirror or the TV
oh,
there,
the
whatever that
TV.
is
I did
there.
not catch that. That's awesome. So, because there is some foreshadowing in these panels here, she goes in for an interview. She gets called up to do this interview at this Department of Interior. Is it something M? Is it level M? Department of Interior. So she goes for this job
Yeah,
interview, and
yeah,
during that job interview, they mention a certain incident that happened in her past, something that happened at a fraternity that she claims she has moved past, but it clearly in the scene she has a pretty visceral reaction to
yeah. And she was a little
hearing
surprised that they even knew
from the
about it,
interview.
but it's like they are the
Exactly.
government, and it was all on a report, so
Right.
of
They're
course
talking
they
about
know
her
about
social
it.
media and everything else. So in that, later on, whenever she's having drinks with the friends that we're talking about, and Nancy says, you've been such a good friend. You were there for me even whenever I was put away. And I'm like, okay, it sounds like whatever happened must have been pretty intense.
Violent
And
and
so for this friend to stand by her through that, a part of me was like, that's interesting. And so by the time you get to the reveal, the twist there, it makes even more sense narratively why she would have stuck around. She wasn't just this great friend that will stand with her through thick and thin. There was more
yeah,
to it
yeah.
than that.
She's not your safe shelter in the storm, so to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's more like I'm guessing more like a Venus flytrap, just like offering you shelter is just my impression now. But
Right.
yeah, no, and that was a smart move. That was a nice little misdirect there, Hojo, at the end. I
Oh
did
yeah.
see it coming a little bit, but the demon like character that they fight at the end snaps her best friend's neck right in front of her, and
Mm,
it looks very. I'm convinced it was some sort of. I don't think it was an illusion, but there is something not right. Like that adds into the not human element of this whole story, the supernatural element, anyway. Because at the end, everybody leaves. They go through the portal. I'm like, there's a reason we're still here. You
mhm.
see the dead friend. I'm like, and then rise, child. She stands up, twists her neck forward again. I've done as you've commanded, my lord. She is with them. And you're like, Yep. She was not quite on the level. And then you see the little demon that you see in the mirror at the very beginning. And so
Yeah.
yeah, we have kind of, and like you point, like I didn't catch that in that art piece actually. That was I don't know why I didn't catch it, but I didn't catch that both of our main adversaries were there.
Yes.
That was a
And
clever little that was a good catch.
something else that I am curious about. I'm not a cat person. I like dogs, but you get this cat in this scene right here. There's our little cat friend, right?
It's
So
on the
she's
cover
deep.
in the tree too, actually.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
he's
I
right
again,
there.
little details. I'm so busy staring at her eyes that I didn't
Yeah,
see the
yeah,
cat up
that
there.
yeah, that's what we're staring at. Yeah.
So there is this cat critter up in there, and at this interview, she gets in this elevator with Lucas, and she goes deep, deep, deep underground. And so she's deep underground, this government building in DC, applying for this job. Everybody's in suits, and they all look like secret agents, and you know,
It's a
and
little
there's a cat.
sus. It's a little sus too. Yeah.
Like, why would a cat be there? So you see that, and you're like, what? And I don't think that cat pops up again in this issue. So that's one of those little narrative little breadcrumbs that was left there for you. And you know it's going to play a role moving forward. And from the campaigns for Mythicals 2, I can see the cat playing a much bigger role. So yeah, that was one of those things as you're reading, you're like, what? And then it was what I was talking about earlier, where you could forget about it by the end of the book. But then if you go back, you're like, whoa, what's up with this cat? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, if it was only if it only appeared once in the comic, then that would be that I could dismiss that. But it also
Mm,
appears on the cover. I have I like I've I backed the issue 2 of the Mythicals without looking at any promotional material because I decided it was something I wanted to read and I don't want to be spoiled for anything
yeah, I think
because
that's kind of where I'm at.
it doesn't take. I've read so many stories and absorbed so many stories over the
Mhm,
years since I was young that I don't need very much to go on to be able to guess the entire narrative of the story. And so
mhm.
I try to give myself the least advantage there I can.
Right, to give you
But yeah,
some
no,
room for
the
surprise.
and even in the art, like it's clever. Even in the art, the shadow behind the cat, it's just a cat, but it also looks a little demonic there, a little sus
Huh,
to me. And maybe that's just
that's
my
true.
reading of it, but yeah, no, I like little Easter eggs like that. So we have our two main kind of bad guys, and they at the end of the story they fight an underling,
I'm
and then
interested
her bet,
too.
and
Oh, go ahead.
that's the other thing too. Her friend's not dead,
Yeah, so
so
it's new.
that means she has a part to play in the story still. But
Mhm, mhm.
because Nancy Moon saw her die, I'm not sure. It means that her obvious cover is blown
Yeah.
one way or another, and
Mhm.
so I'm curious how they're going to use her in the future moving forward.
Also, because we know said friend is not a good friend. She's a
Yes,
subpar friend, really.
that's
She
how I describe it. Yeah.
she gifts Nancy a it kind of looks like the ornament from like some kind of cool car brand. It's got like this it's on the cover there.
Yeah,
It's got it almost reminds me of like
it's a try symbol. It's a little triple.
gently just resting ever so. It looks like a very comfortable necklace pendant. I'll say that.
I wish I was
But
that necklace.
okay, uh,
Calm down, calm
so
down.
her friend gives her this necklace. I don't think that's just a gift there, Kahuna. I think there's something else going on.
Yep.
So
And
is it like a
that's the thing
control
too, because
mechanism?
and Hojo mentioned here in the comments of the of our stream on the side here that we kind of got a peek at the lore in issue 1 and issue 2
Mhm.
we're gonna kick the door down and really get in deep and find out what this world has to offer.
So yeah, I'm curious what's going to go on with that because Nancy has these powers. Her eyes light up whenever she's doing this interview, or whenever they talk about
Mhm.
this incident at the fraternity. So I'm curious what that is, and I think you might be right on the money with what you think could have gone on at that fraternity. I'm hoping there's a little bit more to it than what would be maybe an obvious point where an incident could happen at a fraternity where that gets
Or
her locked up.
maybe it wasn't her. Maybe something was happening to a friend, and then she stepped in, and people got hurt. Maybe
That could be too. And
that could make sense. Yeah.
so I'm starting to wonder, okay, the powers she has, are they from that pendant? Sure, it sounds like it's not. Maybe it was before then. Maybe it's from the incident. Her powers popped out, but maybe they saw something in her. because of that incident where they knew they could get her powers. And there's also this scene here where she's getting interviewed. I believe the character's name is Loomis. I don't know if you can see over the far panel here.
Yeah, I did
Check
see
out
that,
his eyes.
Yeah,
So his
and
eyes are all
he
blacked
has a
out.
very ominous expression. I do think that's
And what
just
are they
trying to
talking
build
about?
up the tension and mystery of it. Like, are these people trustworthy?
Yes, and are they?
Yeah,
We don't know.
I do think that some of the people are good, but I don't know for sure that this is a. I don't imagine this is a spick and span, squeaky clean organization here.
Yeah, because there he's there. He's got this big
Maybe
smile on his face.
they're just naturally ominous people because of what they have to encounter on a regular basis.
Maybe, but I think there's probably a lot more going on with Loomis and Mr. G. I think is the other character's name. His little sidekick there, who's not little. He's actually huge. But
he's a corn. We call him a corn fed, actually. Where I'm from.
Yeah, like, are they lovers? No, so there's that interview where they're asking Nancy about her morality, and she wants to help people. And I was talking about her being easy to root for, and she talks a lot about wanting to help people, wanting to do things to serve people. And she believes that there is good and there is bad. And she gives a couple explicit examples of people that should be in hell versus, good people and that sort of thing. And whenever she's talking about
like she's good, but she's no pushover and she has a backbone.
Sure.
Which it's hard to vote for the naive character, honestly. It's almost as hard to vote for the naive character as it is for someone who's a little more selfishly motivated.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think she comes off as naive, right?
No, she doesn't. I'm saying she's not naive, which is would be a worry.
So whenever they are having that interview, though, and she's talking about morality and good and bad and all good and bad and all that sort of stuff, I can't find the panel. He said something about like, "Oh, Miss Moon, it's not exactly, not everything's black and white, Miss Moon," or whatever it is here.
I mean, we're fighting literal demons, but it's not all black and white.
Yeah, and he's got this smirk on his face. Yes, he can be a bit unnerving at times.
You can have a good mission, but still not be a good person.
I can't find the question. I know he asked her about it. Oh yeah, it's a little bit after. That's right, because it bounces to Spain, and then we come back, and that's where the rest of the interview is. That's it. He says it's commendable, but I'm afraid the world isn't so black and white. Evil is subjective. There are shades of gray. He's got these black eyes, and she's like, "I disagree, sir." But the fact that he is saying right there, like, some things are potentially justifiable in the right situation. I'm like, all right, so what's going on with this dude? Is he good? Is he bad? Is he leading people on?
They do their best to make him look sinister. And maybe a third or half of the panels that he's in. Like we have like, don't even look at what he's saying. Just look at his body position. Look at his hand. Look at how he's shadowed. Yeah, it's like he's like, let me explain myself as I grip my as I strain my finger muscles as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that's interesting about this medium too. I don't know if it's like this in movies, but there is to a degree. There's that level of detail and care in a lot of these panels with little symbolism, little symbology drops in there, like that black hand. What's that about? I think
sometimes it's just something that happens. With art, you do everything you do on purpose for a reason.
Yeah.
If you're intentional about it, like Hojo is and his team is. And so actually Brian McCoppin brings up in the comments a good question. It's the age-old question. Can evil be heroic? Or another question. Can you be a good man and also be a good king? It's like, can you do what is best for a large group of people and but also like, do you have to sacrifice what is good about yourself as an individual? Do you have to sacrifice your individual morality for the good of the group? Maybe that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I am curious if maybe there is a really deep backstory with Loomis where we get peeks into that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out.
And you'll find out in the Mythicals issue 2.
Oh yes. Speaking of, maybe should we take a look into that campaign, or did you have any other final thoughts you'd like to throw out about this?
There's just a line that I thought was really fascinating and I really enjoyed. It was from the final page depicting the torture scene of the dark priest with the real priest.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is something I meant to mention too. Actually, now
Yeah.
you're saying that.
Blessed are the faithful, as he's torturing him. And that's the thing too. It looks like there's some sort of object floating next to him, and darkness is creeping out of it onto the priest. And actually thinking about it, that brings up one other question I just thought about.
Well, while you're thinking of that, I was going to say here, we might have mentioned this earlier, but with this evil baddie bishop dude, and he's got that other guy that seems to be in control. He even says when he's talking to this guy, this priest, right before he starts torturing him, says, "I'm merely a tool. You have information I require." So, what information is he getting from this priest? He admits that he's a tool, he's an underling, which means, okay, you got this big baddie that we see at the end there who was in the background, that kind of shadowy figure. So he's got,
Yeah.
Father SPF Zero on his team. Does he have like a whole horde of dudes like that? Because he clearly has that influence going down. There's a pyramid of evil baddies at his disposal. So how many are there? He definitely has that one, but is that the only one, or is that just a...
Well, we saw what is essentially a grunt, is which they fight at the end.
Oh yeah,
powerful, but not the big bad, obviously. And I don't think it is, but the eye color of these two characters is the same. The grunt at the ends that they are fighting and the priest have the same eye color, and at least it looks like that in a
baby
couple
blue
of panels. Yeah, that's it. No, it was like a lighter brown, but yeah, no, I don't. It's not the same character. For a second, I had to go back and double check that it's not the same character.
Yeah,
but yeah, nope. I like that line because it's a twist on the idea. Like when we picture the word faith, we don't picture evil, but you can believe in something that is bad.
Sure.
And so I like that little twist on that idea. I thought that was effective.
Another thing to throw out there too that I forgot to mention. Will do now. I was talking about Nancy early on, our first impressions of her, that she's likable. I mentioned that she's confident but a little bit clumsy, and they made her feel kind of human. Even the group, the cavalry that comes in to save her, fighting this one creepy bad dude, just one baddie, low level, the grunt type dude, who's not the strongest. The three of them, it's not like they just roll up and take this dude down. It's a battle. Like, things don't go perfect. Nancy almost gets taken out, and she actually ends up having to save herself in the last second. But while they're fighting, they're damaging the guy, but it's not a super clean battle. So it shows that the good guys don't just show up. They're not all Superman. They don't just walk into the fight and just lay out the bad guy and win instantly. So if they're having this much trouble with a grunt, it makes you wonder how they're going to fight the middleman, let alone the top dog. So they're going to have to level up their game, maybe get some more crew members along the way, something. Maybe the cat can turn into a giant tank.
Turns out the cat is God in this universe. No, I've seen stories where that kind of thing happens. That would be funny.
Dog is God backwards, and like, let's flip that.
Yeah, cat is tack. Right,
it is.
He's a tactical cat. Is what he is. It's like we don't launch a new. It's like we have an army. We have a cat. Just like launch him out of an airplane.
That sounds like a line that maybe by book like 10, Lucas will say to like a horde of demons.
So. And also looking at this final fight, there's a couple things I want. The more I look at the comic, the more things I want to point out. First, Lucas shoots at the demon man, and it hits him, and it doesn't hurt him. His immediate next move, jump up and kick him in the face. The bullets didn't hurt him, but my enormous masculine legs, they'll do the trick.
Yes, that's right. That whole fight scene, man, there's some one-liners in there where there's my favorite line in the whole book is during that exchange where he drop kicks the guy, and the guy hey, drop kick me, and does the whole like Jean-Claude Van Damme blood sport, or was it Chun-Li?
Off like blood sport.
I think it was Chun-Li, yeah. And so then the bad guy goes to grab him. He just goes, well, damn. And so on the next scene, he's being grabbed by this dude. He's got Lucas, the good guy, by the throat. And the baddie who's choking him says, mortal, nothing special about you. And Lucas, as he's being choked, says, that's not true. I make a damn good cheesecake. The trick is a water bath, something you could clearly benefit from.
No, it adds so much needed humor. It's so funny, dude. It's
It's
so
not
funny.
even just I make a good cheesecake. That's what makes me special. But then there's that second bubble, and the second
How
bubble
this
is
is
what
how you
got me.
do it? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, to me, it reminds me of the scene from Waterboy where Henry Winkler's on the phone,
yeah, yeah.
and it's that joke inside of a joke where he's talking to his grandmother about the football game, and he's very hysterical, and it goes down, and then you see the phone lines clipped, and you're like, oh, that's a good joke. And then it keeps
Oh.
going, and you're like, and then he's wearing red heels. And it's like that extra tag on the joke. And to me, that line,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, that's perfect. I mean,
I love
I
that.
wasn't giggling quietly to myself, like I was actually like laughing, like that's funny. I make a good cheesecake.
I was
The
just
trick is a water bath.
that line is funny, but honestly, him just trying to kick him after he shoots him to no
That's it.
effect. That made me giggle for
Now,
sure. That was really good.
so we know Hojo is a brewmaster. Makes me wonder if he's also got a little bit of a cheesecake skill set we don't know about. Because how else would you know about that water bath?
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Very
That's a
specific
very
knowledge there,
specific
Mr.
call out.
Hojo.
Yeah. We have questions, Hojo.
We
How do
do.
you make the best cheesecake on the planet?
Oh man, how funny would it be if Lucas, his whole thing is he used to be a chef. And so every time he's in a fight, he's got chef jokes. Like he's like, "Oh, the secret is a water bath," or he's like, "Oh, this is that one
that would
time
be
I had to
really funny.
fine dice 75 onions in the catering job." And I don't know anything about chefing, so that's as far as that joke's gonna go. I think I was all out of saffron. All I had
It's like so were you a
Himalayan
sous
pink
chef?
salt.
No, my name's Lucas, damn it, I told you. I'm not a sous chef, I'm a regular chef.
Don't call me Sue.
Yeah. Also, this was interesting. Immediately following that great joke, the vampire character comes over and starts fighting him to better effect than maybe Lucas did, but still not effective enough to really stop him.
Right.
Unfortunately, but let's talk about this dialogue. You chose the wrong side, blood drinker.
Oh yeah.
I always choose the right side. It is how I have survived this long. Join us, vampire. I can make a better deal. I can make you a better deal than this.
And he said he doesn't negotiate with errand boys. Not I don't negotiate with anyone. I don't negotiate with
he
errand
didn't
boys,
say
meaning,
no. He just said
exactly.
And it could be a no, but in context, it could also be I need a deal. I need to deal. I don't deal with underlings. I deal with the big man himself.
Yeah, it'd be like if you send your boss, we'll talk. What does your boss have to offer me? So it's like, okay.
And it's kind of a cool idea. It's like I like the idea that he's been around helping organizations, very traditionally anti-evil, anti-vampire for a long time, just as a way to survive. Because imagine like they hunt down all of your kind, you're like one of the last ones left, and then it's like, wait, I have something to offer you. I don't need to be I'm not all evil. I don't need to be exterminated like the rest of my kind.
Right.
I have something I can offer you. And suddenly he's a demon. He's a demon on the good side or something equivalent to that.
Definitely. I also with the how did you know this guy's Aztec? Did I miss a line of dialogue somewhere establishing he's
No,
Aztec,
I'm just saying it's just what I'm looking. It's just what it's looking like to me. He looks like some South American people that I've seen before.
The one line he does say, he does a spell called Nocturnus, and he says, "Happy now, mate."
Is he Australian?
So I don't know if he's Australian. Happy now, mate. Yeah, sweep your chimney. I don't know how to do the accent. I don't know if he's British or Australian or what. And so he does that. He says, "Happy now, mate." And then he also has the power he breaks out this, I don't know if it's a book or a piece of metal. He's got some kind of magic
it's like a plate
square
or something. Yeah,
I
saw
like
that.
Copper plate. And at the end, he holds this thing up and it opens a portal. And so they're out, not too far from where Nancy Moon had her interview with the Department of Interior and all that. But he holds up this little plate and it opens a portal. And they walk through this portal to get back into the Department of Interior where, their ongoings were happening, the business and the interviews and all that. And before they go through, another thing I like about Lucas, why he's my favorite character, one, he's funny. And two, Nancy is crying over her dead friend because at this point she doesn't know that her friend is bad. She just thinks her friend is dead. So Nancy is crying and Lucas comes over and says, "Nancy, we have to hurry before civilians show up and start asking questions." So he's not just this dual wielding funny, my guns didn't work, so I'm going to drop kick this demon in the face. he, you know, he's a nice guy, it seems.
Yeah,
So
and also he's the like when the demon is down but not dead, he's the one who dismisses it. You see that our little Australian cuff boy. I like all these names that we're
Joker.
coming up with here.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, what was it? Daniel, do your thing and shut him up. Comes over, Nocturnus.
Yes. Shit. Oh, you can it already. Oh yeah. Or you can it already. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I love how like I understand that they need to get out of there before people show up and there are witnesses, but I love the idea that they're using portal magic to go like maybe 4 or 5 blocks at most.
Yes. I hope that they abuse that power at some point where Lucas is hungry in the middle of the night. And he's just like, "Hey, Dano, can you maybe teleport me to the local cheeseburger stand or something?"
Yeah, yeah.
I hope there's that sense of humor and jokes that carry through in that regard.
Now here's a question based on the end. At the end, I do believe this is our big bad overall.
Gotta be.
Our big bad overall.
Or is it?
So-
Bum, bum, bum.
Could be, but so is our SPF Zero priest and Nancy Moon's friend? Are they on the same level? Are they both like lieutenants or lieutenants to the big bad, or are they on? Are they? I wonder if they're in the same level of hierarchy, like in
Well,
terms of power and
'cause she
position.
kneels. That's a good point. 'Cause she doesn't kneel before SPF Zero. She kneels before Shadow Boss.
Shadow Boss,
So,
yeah, that's a good name.
Shadow
For him.
Boss. I've done as you
It's time
command, my
for
boy.
Shadow Boss.
I don't have any. I can do this. That's about the best I got. I was tapping my mic. I don't know if you came through.
Anyway, that happened. Good thing this isn't live. Oh no.
That's so funny. I had no idea we were live until like a half hour. I'm like, oh, there's a chat.
That's
Cool.
that's so funny, dude.
we're good communicators. So yeah, I do think he is the big baddie. I don't think he's on this girl, the redhead, is on the level as our evil priest guy. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like the character design, that's just like she looks a lot like the grunt. Whereas this dude,
she looks like the grunt, but she untwists her own neck on her own.
But he got his own art. He got his own art page. She did not. But maybe that was done intentionally.
But she was also a surprise. Like she was the spoilery surprise at the end of the story. So art of her could have depicted, could have spoiled things if for an observant looker.
That's true. That's true. That could be. She's not on the cover anywhere, is she?
No, she is not on the cover.
She does unsnap her own neck.
She is not hiding in Nancy's cleavage. She is not on the cover. Nope. Also, I love this little preview at the end of the book.
Oh yeah.
I know there's going to be a werewolf in issue 2, but
I forgot about that.
Is at the door. And I've seen that is one thing I've seen. I've seen the art for the transformation, and it looks incredible.
Yes,
straight up.
One other thing we didn't touch on that because man, as we're going through this and doing this, I'm like, geez, there's a lot more to this book than because the first read I was like, oh yeah, it's good. Second read, I'm like, I enjoyed it even more. Now that I'm really digging into it, I'm like, there's a lot here. Like, there's a lot of plot pieces.
Oh yeah,
things.
yeah,
So,
the hidden stuff art wise too.
Yeah, I wrote this down. I even forgot when we were talking. The dude on the subway at the beginning, the like not good dude. She gets a text and says, "They are watching you. Do not trust them." Text doesn't have a name attached to it. Who's that text from? And then the creepy dude that they end up fighting at the end walks over to her and says, "The blood of Luna will be spilled onto the cross." Well, her name's Nancy Moon. Luna Moon. Is she the moon they're referring to? That seems on the nose, but it could be. Could be. And then in the first panel too, where they have all of the witches hanging, or they're bound up, or whatever, strapped, is literally the first panel of the book where she's waking up from this
Demon Boy dream. Is there too on the right.
You have the Luna up in the sky. You have the Luna down here, and who's over on the right?
Look on the right. Look on the right. Demon, Big Boy Demon is there on the right.
Oh, Shadow King, Shadow Crown. What we call him? Yeah, Big Boy Demon.
Shadow Boy.
Big Boy Demon. BBD.
Shadow Demon. He's there.
Shadow Demon. So they have the moon in the sky above. They have her down at the bottom. There's chains at the bottom. There's fire. I don't know if the chains are in keeping her in or keeping them, whatever. The
Well, it seems she
stuff,
has flame abilities as well because
yeah, and
you
even
see
the
her
plants
wielding
down
them.
here are pretty wild. And we find out later on she has kind of that poison ivy ability where she can sort of control the plants. So I'm like, is that also foreshadowing? There are three. So is she? Who are the other two? Is she one of them? Is it just a misdirect? So I'm trying to figure out
Well,
what's going on with that because we can't see them. So I'm like, okay, the blood of the moon we spilled on the cross. Well, they don't look to be crucified. The other thing is too is that I mean, this dude, he's wearing an upside down cross. Is it the cross? What cross referred to? Is it that one? Is it something else? Is it a marker where things cross on a map? Is it going to be literal and on the nose and kind of like, oh, okay, got it, or is it all? So that's another series of questions I forgot about just on that first page, or this first couple pages.
well, like if you want to go into details, there's a lot I noticed as well. Look at the very first panel on page 1. Look at the kind of dresses that they are wearing.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh,
Maybe Nancy Moon's deal is not something solely given to her. Maybe it's a family thing. Maybe this has happened before. Maybe what she's seeing, this vision, this nightmare she's having, is something that has happened either in her family before or in some other, like, you know what I'm saying? Because
yeah, yeah.
look at the way those women are dressed. They are not dressed modern. Those are old
No, they're
style.
clearly Renaissance workers.
Yeah, yeah. Women of the night, my favorite. Anyway,
It could be. It could be
could
those
be,
as
could be.
well.
The low bodices on the two anyway. The one on the right, she's a little more respectable, but
Yeah. But I think this brings us back. I meant to mention earlier before we shifted gears when we were talking about the art. I didn't want it to sound like we were bagging on the artist by any stretch or anything like that.
no,
And
no.
this is something, I mean, the attention to detail in the artwork with that sort of thing, even if the drawings aren't all on the level of some other projects you might see out there. I mean, little details like this, things slipped in, that takes immense talent and forethought and planning and execution and all that. So I hope it
Very
didn't come across like
strong
we were bagging
understanding.
on
Yeah.
who did do the artistry here. Pencils, is that who does the
He
initial
does the
sketches?
sketches, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if it's Thomas
Thomas
Tikas,
Tikas.
hopefully it didn't come across with like we were just bagging on you and saying bad things because that is not at all how we intended it. And little details like that. I mean, clearly immense talent there.
Yeah, no, I think it all came together really well. I like there's a lot to enjoy here in this comic, and yeah, like some of the panels, I like it's not an art piece.
Mhm.
Like the guy who becomes the grunt demon they fight later, but even before he looks like a demon,
Yeah,
he's one ugly looking dude.
yeah, he's got he kind of got like and this is gonna be people are gonna be like that's not a fair comparison, but his eyes, if you just look at the eyes, kind of got like an Anya Taylor Joy vibe going on.
Yeah, yeah,
A
I
little
can
bit
see
of that,
it. I can see
little bit
it.
of that wide space fish ideal going.
Oh, also
Sorry if you're watching Anya.
on the second page, on the subway, there's a you can see a poster for another comic, another comic, but it's a real comic.
Oh,
It's a real.
Ironside. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, look at
Yeah,
that.
Ironsides is back there. That's so
Yeah, I thought that was
cool.
really good.
I didn't even catch that. Holy cow. I'm like, I gotta really analyze these panels. So in the next one, whenever we do the second one, we gotta really look close because man, now I'm like, what else did we miss?
I'm sure there's other stuff we missed. I'm sure. Like there's always little
I
details
didn't
here and
even
there.
see that. That's awesome.
It's like in a movie, like a background detail could just be a background detail, but in a comic, you have to draw everything. You have to make decisions about everything. And so if you add a detail that isn't there in other circumstances, it means that it's important in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I'm even wondering. I wish the pages were numbered so I could tell you what page it is. But whenever Nancy first gets on the elevator with Lucas, even the way he's pushing the button, he's not using his finger. Does that mean something? Seriously, I'm at the point now. I'm like, there's so much stuff all over. I'm like,
I think
was
if he
that
had that
done for
kind
a
of
reason?
ability, he wouldn't have tried to kick a demon after shooting it, but
But why is he poking it with a stick?
you're right. That is weird. Why would he do that?
See, okay, you see it too.
You're right.
Like
That
got
is a
like
weird.
a little, not metal, little, not plastic. What's that material? Wood. He's got like a little wood chip. It's a wood chip because later on they were going to fight in the park. It was foreshadowing. It looks like a toothpick, and it might just be that he's like Razor Ramon. But
Oh,
why not use your finger?
I don't think that's Lucas.
Oh, it isn't?
Nope, it's not Lucas. It's similar facial hair. I don't think it's him, though.
I thought he introduced himself.
Oh, wait. I am Lucas Beckett. Never mind, never mind.
Yeah, I'm Lucas Beckett, and then they get on the elevator together. Okay, it is Lucas. Although some of these secret agents, they got the same outfits and,
yeah,
such.
yeah.
I get that. And Mr. G, what does the G stand for?
Gomez. I don't know.
Hopefully
Mr. Gomez.
But yeah, just the
yes, Selena's father. I know. And no, I don't like her music either. That's so mean, dude. Oh, Brian.
That'd be good.
Dude,
dude. Okay, where was she born?
Where was Nancy Moon born?
Yeah, she was born in Boston.
Oh,
that's in Massachusetts.
It is Salem witch.
What else is up in that part of the world?
Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
So
witches up there.
I think, good catch. I think we might be onto something, buddy.
Huh.
Between our three shared brain cells, we can figure stuff out.
She was raised in Virginia. There's something
Virginia,
there?
Yeah.
There's something there?
Virginia. Make it sound very German.
Oh,
also,
dude,
Brian McCoppin offers that perhaps he was clicking the button with the 11th finger.
I've never heard that term.
I've never heard it either. That's a new one. It's all those Florida people with their Florida.
Yeah,
talk.
it's all the swamp gases down there. I'd forgotten the scene too. Talking about looking through this for like these details, the reflection in the eye of the priest that he's torturing. He's got some kind of glass, object of power.
Yeah,
and you mentioned it before. It's got like I couldn't tell if he plucked this guy's eyeball out or if it must be that object of power is not plucking his eyeball out. It's actually, like you were saying, those little black tendrils are coming after him. And mayhaps that is how they convert their people. Maybe he's making a clone. He's making another bishop best friend.
I don't think a clone, but maybe that's how they get grunts. They torture them into madness and then they leave them vulnerable to possession. That's possible. Yeah. That's something I could easily see. But yes, that is. I think we've covered about as much as we can about the issue 1 of the Mythicals. Went on longer than I anticipated. Actually, we had a lot to talk about. The more you
dig in, the more there is. And we should definitely mention he's got his campaign going on for issue 2 currently.
Issue 2, yeah. If you have the page, you can. If you have it open, I can share it, or I can get it too.
Here I got you. Let me send it into our chat, and you can. Where is our chat? There, private. Boop boop boop. That should be it.
Yeah, just press present, and then I can do it. Yeah. That's all. That's on. It's down below our beautiful faces here.
Let's see. Let me make sure. I guess those tabs are probably fine to have open. All right. So present. I've never done this before. What do I click then? Share screen?
You can click share screen, and then you can click which screen you want to share.
Share screen. Share screen. Window, Microsoft tab, entire screen. That's window. Okay, window and share. I think I got it. Let's see if I did it, team. Did I get it?
Okay. Add the stage. Ta-da! There we go.
All right,
now I can't control the page, but we can view it from here. There we go.
Computered. There's a way to do that slow scroll that I don't know how to do. Hold the wheel, something. I'm gonna have to do it.
Also, Hojo, come on, $500 goal, really? You got to aim higher, man. I guess you want to see you funded by 1,144%.
So 117 backers. That's awesome.
That's really cool, dude.
With good reason. We're clearly not the only people that have read this first issue and enjoyed it. So 117, you could be 118. What are you waiting for? Get out there and back Mythicals 2. Now you know about Mythicals 1. Now how cool it is. Go pick it up.
The Mythicals are
this campaign. The other takeaway is where's the length? right here. So we got only 11 days to go. So you have less than 2 weeks to get your hands on Mythicals
Yep,
#2. And
yep.
at that point, I don't know if this does become a straight up storefront like we mentioned before, if you got to wait for campaign 3 to get the catch up pack or what have you.
Yeah, that is
So
a nice thing. A lot of these Fun My Comic creators, a lot of these Iron Agers are offering. They have overstock on a lot of these projects, so they do like there may be another opportunity to get some of these first issues, but it's not a guarantee. So everybody hop on the Mythicals #2. I ordered mine a while
oh,
back,
there we
so
go.
that'll
I
be
got it.
coming
Look at
through at
that. I
some
got
point.
it. I did it. It might be going a little too fast though. I don't want to slow it down. Oh, it's where your mouse is located. I'm learning things. I'm
That's
computering so hard
cool.
right now.
So hard.
Yeah,
Look at
look
that
at me
cat, dude. That
computering.
cat has
There's
so
that
much
cat.
attitude.
And check out the book he's sitting on, right? Got War and
The
Peace.
Tempest, War and Peace. Yeah, that
Mm.
cat is. What if the cat's in charge?
I
I
guess
mean, I
anything
wouldn't
is
put it past
possible.
him.
Now, do you want me to stop scrolling because this might spoil things for yourself?
Um, no, it's okay. It's okay. We've been talking about it, and I might have spoiled things for myself. Or wow, look at that! Meow meow
So
meow
the
meow
cat,
meow.
as I was mentioning before, is back.
Oh, he can talk, dude. What the? I was right. He can. He might be in charge.
Jeez, I got a loose dress code at the interior of Department of Interior there.
Yeah, I've never seen any office workers dressed like that.
I haven't either.
I might need to work in an office.
Yeah, it's a great facial expression there. So yeah, this is looking pretty good. $13 plus shipping for the Dillard cover. That's when we were talking about the werewolf. So I mean, heck, man, $13 for shipping. Shipping will be what, $5, something like that.
And plus, oh yeah, that's something too. Because I bought, I was the backer to put him over his $10,000 goal. He also gave me this custom one-off piece that he was working on at the time
Very
on stream.
cool.
Very cool. Got some other art that came with packet one. Some nice little pretty background stuff. I could put that in my kid's room very happily.
So 10,000 stretch goal, currently classified. So and the other thing is too is that with the physical ones I got, they came with cool stuff. There was like stickers and all kinds of things thrown in there.
Yeah, and got all
Where
the
is it
art.
at?
Like I think everybody got art like this or
So we're at
like
5,700.
this guy
Let's
here too.
see if I don't know how many people are reaching out there, but throw in here. Throw in. Let's get this up to 10 grand, see what the classified unlock is. We haven't sold you on this book at this point. I don't know we can sell you on anything. Because I mean,
I know, I know.
we did a
We've
pretty good
talked
job.
about it for well over an hour now.
Heck yeah.
Hey Wrangler, what's up, brother?
So
He was summoned by the cat, apparently.
so that's Hojo's campaign. Go and definitely get in on that. Now's the time. Do it for yourself. Buy yourself an early Christmas present.
Absolutely, guys. It's well worth, and like for that price, it seems like a
I know.
no-brainer, man. With how
Yeah.
much like that's not even like that's like a sandwich right now.
Yeah,
Like, come
for
on,
real.
guys. Also, I suppose we could always do this off stream too, but we could talk about possibly other comics we want to try to cover in the future. Obviously, if we both own
Yeah.
it, that would be better. You mentioned
Right.
you have the Immortal Rising comic?
I do. I have the Immortal Rising comic. Yep, got that one. And I
I
also have
got
Infinite
this
Tail
baby beauty
Chronicles.
here.
Got them both. Yep. I'm trying to
I
think what
got
other
a
comics I have.
whole bubbling
don't have
bunch up here
tons.
too. I have this one is available, I think, for anyone, but I have Flying Sparks by Del De La Rose, and it's
Oh, okay.
a love story between a superheroine and a superpowered gangster. It's kind of fun, so we could always talk about that one. We got this one. Oh, this one was good too. I haven't read all of it, but The Wrath of God. Look at that. It's
I
a
haven't even heard of that one.
it's like supernatural western, and you got
Was
the
that on Fund My Comic at some point? Or not Fund My Comic, Comic Shop Wednesday?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. I'm not sure. Like, I'll look, we should look it up and see if this one's available because this would be a good one to go over.
Okay, so you're
And-
leaning.
yeah.
All right.
Well, I got a whole bunch here, but we got
gonna
The
say, man,
Lucid
you got-
Waking Dream by
You
Bancroft.
might be like I don't know if anybody has a bigger Iron Age collection than you do.
I'm sure someone might, but I have a lot of like everything on here is stacked pretty deep
Yeah.
with books. I got all Razor Fist both books. I got a couple normal comics. Got the Mortal Defense. I got this one that nobody's ever actually talked about. This was done by an artist who did a couple pieces for me back in the day. R.H. Snow, The Black Saint. Yeah, all of these are like 3 or 4 books deep down here as well, and Yeah, no, I have a pretty decent collection. I've done what I can to try to support the Iron Age and put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah,
And
dude,
yeah,
you got quite a collection, and you get all the like the special stuff too, which is awesome. I look at that stuff, I'm like, ah,
I
I
I
better not, but I'm always like somebody out
I'm
there.
tempted not to because like money's tight sometimes, but I'm like,
Mm,
but I love the extra stuff is fun. I love the extra
hmm.
stuff.
Oh yeah. So
That's
would it
something
be fair
too. Like,
to label you the an official Iron Age connoisseur?
yes, we need to cover this book at some point. The Lucent Waking Dream by Michael Bancroft. I've out of all the
Bancroft.
Iron Age comics that I've read, it may be my favorite.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it's not, yeah, it's yeah. You just have to read it to understand, but yeah, it's fun.
Okay. Cool. Well, we
So
can
yeah, well,
settle in on one of those for sure, and I'll get my hands on it, and we'll figure it out from there. And yep.
hell yeah, man, hell yeah. In fact, I when I ordered issue 2 of the Lucent, I might have ordered another copy of issue 1. If I did, I'll just send you one. But yeah,
Oh,
it'll be fun.
sweet. That'd be very kind of you.
It would be fun. All
Good
right.
deal.
Well, we've been here long enough. I know you have other things to do here today, Mister Evelay.
No, thank you, Mr. Ultimate Cooner, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
So, where can we find you, Mister Evelay?
Actually,
There we
I'm
go.
not.
There we go.
I can't wear them like you can. um,
Oh no.
I think the easiest place is probably just like on wherever you stream music. If you like the music I do, if you like chiptune, if you like rock, I think most people in here probably know my music by this point. There's also death metal type stuff with a little bit of clean vocals. Got more music in the works. I probably won't have anything for myself out till maybe springish. I got so many other projects going on
He
with a
has
lot of other
done more
people.
music for Iron Agers than any other musician out there so far. Just saying, just saying.
Is that true? If that's
It
true, that's
is. You did
incredible.
stuff for Brian. You did stuff for me. You had a whole bunch of other people.
If that's true,
Kid
it's
has done
awesome.
quite a Chill Kid has
Yeah,
done some stuff too, but I don't
that's
think anybody's done quite as much as you. You've offered something tremendously valuable to this community here.
well, thank you. That's incredibly kind of you, and I'm humbled to have the opportunities that people like my music enough to have me do stuff for them. So my stuff, you can get it on Bandcamp at evely.bandcamp.com if you really want to, but I mean, go get it on whatever you stream at. Like, just listen to the music. If you know people, maybe you don't like it, but you know somebody else that might be into it, just send them their way. Send them my way. I only get like a fraction of a penny per play, but to me, it's like, it's not
Or you could
about
be an
the
idiot like
money.
me. Go to iTunes, buy his music. Have it
No,
on your phone. Have it really be yours. Don't stream it like a modern baby back bitch. Buy
uh,
it.
I stream everything pretty much.
I know,
But
man. Everybody
yeah,
does.
so
I'm the weird one here. I know.
so yeah, I'm on Bandcamp if you really, really, really want to do that. Otherwise, just wherever you stream music. And like I said, if you don't like it, but you think you might know somebody that does, check it out there. And I'm sure you'll hear my stuff kicking around with different people's projects going on. And whenever I have more things available to shout out, I'm sure you'll hear about it then. And I'm on, I guess, Twix is probably the
And
only
he
social media
also
I'm
has a
really using.
YouTube channel. He does not post there all the time,
I don't
but
post there
he
like ever.
but
Videos
he
take
puts
too much
together
work.
some fun little music videos. He did his Kikomon song. In
Oh yeah,
fact,
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I'll link that here in just a second. And
So
yeah,
yeah,
no, it's a
I'm on YouTube, but I don't use it too much. And hopefully you'll see me more on Kahuna's channel with things like this. If we did a good job and people have demand for it, and we can find the time again. But I think that might be about it for me for
all
now.
right.
Thank you.
Sweet. As for me, you're already on my channel, so I'm not going to link it. You can
Woo!
if you can't figure that out, that's on you. But alas, this has been an Iron Age comic review by the Ultimate Kahuna and Evelay Music. We appreciate all of you for being here. Now get out there, build the culture, be the culture, support the culture. Woo!